Hi guys and girls, today I'm posting this video because you have to learn the cell organelles function, and learn it by heart is a bit tedious, so this video will help you to learn the function of each organelle, and also you are going to understand how the cell works. First of all, I remind you that we saw that prokaryotic cells have only a circular DNA, okay, which we call it the bacterium chromosome, and they have the only organelles they have are the ribosomes. So some of them ask me, and how do they perform self-respiration or other things that the cell needs to do for living, okay? They perform it because they have some structures here, okay? And in these structures, they have enzymes, okay? Enzymes. Enzymes are the molecules that perform or make the enzymes make that the chemical reactions occur. And everything that happens inside the cells and inside our bodies are chemical reactions. So enzymes are the molecules that make them to happen, okay? So prokaryotic cells have enzymes for performing all living things, all the things that living things may have to do, okay? As we saw in class, the eukaryotic cells, okay, that are much more complex than these ones. These ones are only bacteria, and the rest of living things are eukaryotic, okay. We saw that the endosymbiotic theory that says that eukaryotic cells were ancient prokaryotic cells, which had the ability for invaginating or engulf their membrane, okay? So when they engulf their membrane, they could surround the nucleus with a membrane, okay? And they could make some membrane organelles. These organelles are made of membranes, okay? Also, we saw that some bacteria that were specialized, okay, in performing photosynthesis or in performing self-respiration, because those bacteria had a lot of enzymes that perform photosynthesis or self-respiration, okay, were engulfed by the cells, and they were living here in some symbiotic. My God, the cat is disturbing me. They were living here with a symbiotic relationship. This bacteria that was specialized in performing self-respiration was going to give in the cell energy, okay? And the cell would give nutrients to this bacteria. After years, these bacteria evolved, and they became into mitochondria. And also in the case of the plant cells, okay, they became into chloroplasts. Okay, so now I start with the functions of each organelle. First of all, really important, you have to have in mind that the cell membrane was made of lipids, especially phospholipids. The cell membrane has phospholipids, okay, and some proteins. Those proteins act as carriers. They can take inside or outside some substances, and also their function is to recognize other cells, okay? Recognizing other things or cells. Okay, so have in mind membrane. is a bilayer of lipids, mainly phospholipids, with proteins. So now, I told you that the organelles were made of membranes. So this is the smooth reticulum and the rough reticulum, because the rough reticulum has ribosomes. This is Golgi Apparatus and the vesicles. And they are all made of membranes. Okay. In the case of the nucleus has the DNA, okay? In this case, we say that DNA is chromatin, okay? Chromatin. And when the cell is going to divide, okay, for reproducing itself, it's going to replicate the DNA. It's going to have 2 copies of DNA, one for one cell and the other one for the other cell. So they replicate their DNA, and the cell organizes the DNA into chromosomes. Okay, they organize it into chromosomes. Each chromosome has 2 arms called chromatids. These 2 arms are just the same because it has been replicated. There are 2 copies. This is just the same as this. Okay, 2 copies. And when the cell will divide, they are going to go each one to each cell. Now, the DNA, okay, the function, you have to remember from last year that the function of ribosomes is making proteins. How do they do it? Okay, the DNA, okay, here we have the DNA, is going to be copied into an RNA messenger that is going outside of the nucleus. Remember that the RNA hasn't got thymine and it has uracil, okay? And this RNA is getting out of the nucleus, and the ribosomes are going to read it. The ribosomes read the DNA and they make a protein. Ribosomes make proteins because they read the RNA that comes from the DNA. This process, when the DNA is copied into RNA, is called transcription. And when the RNA is translated into proteins, okay, it's called translation. So the DNA can be replicated, can be transcribed, and can be translated. Okay. Now, ribosomes make proteins. So, if I go here, the smooth reticulum is made of membranes. So, it is made of lipids. So, the function of the smooth reticulum is making lipids. Okay? It makes lipids. Now, if I go to the rough one, the rough reticulum has ribosomes. So, if ribosomes make proteins, these proteins are going to be for the cell, okay? But in this case, it is made of ribosomes that make proteins, but ribosomes in a membrane. So, if ribosomes are in a membrane, it's obviously this is going to make the proteins that are going to be in the cell membrane. These proteins, okay? These make proteins that are going to be here, the ribosomes, and the rough reticulum is going to make proteins that are going to be here in the cell membrane, okay? Here, or that they are going to be secreted. Why? Because here is the Golgi Apparatus. The Golgi Apparatus take the lipids and the proteins that are synthesized here, and it processes them and it packages into vesicles. So the proteins and the lipids made here are going to be packaged into vesicles, and those vesicles are going to be sent outside, okay? They can secrete substances. For example, our glands in our stomach or in our liver, okay? They perform the digestion. They secrete substances. Those substances are made of in the cells. They have a lot of reticulum inside them, the cells, okay? And they make substances that are going to be secreted. So these ones, the Golgi apparatus package them in order to secrete them or send them to the cell membrane. Then some vesicles, okay, can have proteins which are enzymes and they digest things. Those vesicles can be transformed into lysosomes. Lysosomes have enzymes that digest molecules. Now, another organelle could be the vacuole, okay? Animal cells have small vacuoles where they store substances, okay? And then the plant cells have enormous vacuoles which store water, okay? This vacuole stores substances, and the lysosome, as you can see here I draw a starch molecule and some lipids. The lysosome can digest the starch, or the starch, in this case, this animal, it would be not a starch, it would be a glucogen. So this glucogen is going to be digested by the lysosomes and transform it into glucoses. Okay? So vacuoles store substances, lysosomes digest substances into simple ones. Then the mitochondria. The mitochondria is going to perform cell respiration. Cell respiration consists on taking glucose and oxygen, and those glucose and oxygen in a series of chemical reactions made of enzymes, okay, are going to be transformed into energy, carbon dioxide, and water. Energy is going to be used by the cell, and carbon dioxide is going to be expelled, okay? It is a waste. And so, more or less, this is all the function of all cell organelles. Then, some of you think or have the belief that photosynthesis is performed for making energy, and that's not true. The ones that make energy are mitochondria. Cell respiration turns glucose into energy, glucose and oxygen, okay? In the case of animal cells, where do we obtain that glucose? From the diet, okay? We take glucose from the diet. We feed off glucose. But in the case of plants do not feed off other things. So they have to make their own glucose by photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is performed by the chloroplasts. And what is photosynthesis is that they use the sun energy, okay? They take carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, water from the soil, and they transform this into glucose, and they release oxygen, okay? So photosynthesis is for making glucose, not energy. After this, the plant will use this glucose for making energy in their mitochondria, okay? But mainly, photosynthesis is for making glucose. So this is all, and I hope this video will help you for understanding everything and not learning by heart, okay? Just think. If this is made of membrane, it will make lipids. This is made of membrane with ribosomes. It will make proteins, but not for the cell. Proteins that are going to be secreted or going to be in the a cell membrane, or sometimes they can make lysosomes. Okay, so more or less this is all. It is not so difficult. Have a nice weekend.